land of the free, home of the brave, America, the United States, the place I love, the place I was born, the place I call home. Now, I am from the United States. I would want to say American, but as I've been corrected, saying American is very vague, so I'll say I'm from the United States to appease the because there is an international audience here, so shout out to my European brothers and sisters that watch. Thank you. It's weird because we're told growing up, America's the greatest country. It's the #1 country. There's no place like it. We have freedom. Interesting, as I get older and as I learn more and more about the world and about just how things work, you realize that other places in the world have this thing called freedom too. Now, you're gonna read this title and you're gonna say, oh my, Caleb, you're just ungrateful. You just want to go to Europe for free healthcare, or you just think that you just want it. You are of Ugandan descent. Why don't you just then go back to Uganda if Uganda is so great and America? And that is, you're completely missing the point of this video. If you think me saying the American dream is asleep, is me saying that I'm ungrateful or that I do not love the country that I was born in, you are completely misunderstanding me. What I'm trying to say is that while I am very grateful for the opportunities and all the things that this country has to offer, the way I look at it was Gen Z. It's $36 trillion in debt, record high home prices, inflation, whatever. I just see something where I just see the party's over. Obviously, these are also worldwide problems. I know that the UK is going through things, the Eurozone. I know that Asia is having their things. I know Japan, China, India. I know South Africa, Nigeria, the motherland, Uganda. When I think of the American dream, I think more and more of, is this really what we all dream of? Because as I think more and more of what kind of person I want to be and what I want, I think about how, while it's important to have financial security, I think about community. Because when I think of the American dream, I mainly hear about economic prosperity and social mobility and just climbing up the ladder, climbing up the corporate ladder, getting a house. Yes, shelter is an accomplishment. If you're out here playing some Call of Duty and you need to get those kill streak accomplishments, shelter is one of them in America. And while it's important to have shelter, obviously you need it to survive, because you'll get eaten by a lion. A lion will eat you if you do not have shelter. Some of the things we neglect are things that are also important, like community, standing up for what's right, listening to the needs of others, putting others' wants and needs and desires before your own, empathy. I wish that these were also mentioned in the American dream. And I'm not here to preach some hippy-dippy, we gotta be positive all the time, we gotta do this, we gotta do that, we gotta fit. I'm not here to preach that. I'm here to say that I think the American dream should have some material parts, but also some immaterial parts. Because I think while it's important to have financial security, get your bills paid, whatever, get your paper, get your bread, dodge that child support, I think it's important. I think it's also important to focus on community and to focus on others, because one of the things that made America so unique was a spirit of unity. And obviously, yes, I've read a history book. I know about segregation. I know about slavery. I know about the internment camps. I know about how we treated the Native Americans. So it's not perfect. I'm well aware of that. And I ain't here to correct the problems of the past. Your boy doesn't have a flex capacitor. I can't go back in time and say, yo, bruv, these are dumb ideas. Don't treat other people like that. I can't do that. But what I can do, because I live in the present, is I can take these lessons from the past and say, okay, what can we do to do better? To improve. Because I don't know how to solve these problems. Let me tell you something. If you come to me, if Dr. Caleb, if your boy, Dr. Intende is treating you, if you're my patient, I can diagnose that you have a headache. I can diagnose you got stomach problems. Heck, I might even tell you have cancer. But I ain't gonna give you chemo or an aspirin or any prescription. You're gonna have to figure it out yourself. And I think when I look at these problems, I see a lot of differing opinions, and the differing opinions almost contrast each other, where you might have some people that say, oh my gosh, we need to like vote XYZ Republican and go this way. And then you have other people that say, oh my gosh, we need to do XYZ Democrat and have Kamala, or, Trump on one side, Kamala on the other. And as long as I'm not late for dinner, I'll be A-okay. But I think one thing we don't focus on is, with all this like bickering back and forth, we got to ask ourselves, what is it actually going to take to move the needle in the right direction? Because we can go back and forth politically, and these discussions are important. But I think for me, as I start looking at apartments, trying to get rent, trying to get a car payment, trying to get a car loan, I look at this and I say, man, it's almost as if it's like you work, but you don't see anything. Like you just don't see anything. It's like, oh, like on paper, I might be doing better. It's like, man, I got a better job. I ain't scooping rice no more. Your boy's on a big boy computer doing his thing, doing, the magic of the universe. It's like with more income comes more debt. And I just, I think about how, is that really the best way to do things? Is that really the solution? Is just to owe people more and more money? Eventually you got to pay your credit card bill, or you're going to run out of credit. It's the only thing I remember in accounting is eventually credit does come to an end. And when I think of the American dream, I think about not only all the people that have sacrificed all for this country, and I guess my parents leaving Uganda to come here 32 years ago in 93. I think about how I don't know if this is just some fever dream of the past or some nostalgia thing. When we look at the past, it's easy to look at it with some romantic light. This is gonna sound crazy. 2020 was 5 years ago, and I guarantee you, some people, even though the world was shut down and things were not really going the way they were going, or going the way maybe a lot of people were going, there might be even some people that look back during the pandemic and have some fond memories. Maybe, I'm not saying it was a good time, but I'm saying they may say 2020 compared to 2025, they say, oh, things were easier. And then they would be like, oh, 2015 to 2020, oh, things were easier in 20, like where they just keep going back in these increments of 5 years. And while it's good to look back, I think we need to also take things in the present and in the future, because the past makes us who we are, and the future is determined by our choices. I think just when I look at the American dream, I think about how, it's very easy. If I get hit by a bus, I better hope it takes me out, because I cannot afford that hospital bill. My Obamacare will not stretch that, man. And these are real concerns that people have, because they are just one emergency away from just losing a lot that they've worked for. And yes, economic prosperity is important, but so is community. Gen Z, and I think a lot of Americans, face a loneliness crisis where they don't have people to call. And maybe I'll link down below, maybe, I don't know a lot of resources. I just know about the suicide hotline if you really need, or I know of it. I don't know it off the top of my head. Your boy doesn't. I don't got those numbers memorized. But when it comes to looking at the American dream, I think we should look at the good and the bad and just recognize that, yeah, there's been some great strides and great improvements, but also, like, we need to take into account that not only the individual, but the community as a whole. Because I don't want to live in a world where people are just out for themselves, and then especially I don't want to live in a country where people we're the highest, oh my gosh, I got my bag, okay, and it's just about me. I would love to live in a country where the American dream is inclusive of the community. And that's that's, I think, something that I'm gonna try in my own life to do and try to make it more aware. I don't know how successful I'll be, but I'll definitely try, and we'll see where things go. I don't know. I don't really have a lot of power. I can't really make laws. I can't really wave a magic wand, but I know I can at least express my thoughts about these. I can express my thoughts about these issues I see and try to raise awareness, and then try to see what we can do, because I don't know what the future holds, but I just know that good or bad, we're gonna, your boy's gonna diagnose your Dr. Caleb, Dr. Intende is going to diagnose the problems but give no solutions. Thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. We'll be back here on Monday. My socials will be linked down below, and they'll also be linked at the end of this video. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.